Hey guys, thanks for tuning back into the channel. Today we're going to talk about one of the biggest updates that xTool software has made since I've been doing videos for the last around 3 years. We're going to talk about xTool Studios. What was once called xTool Creative Space, xTool has revamped pretty much their whole processing system to be more intuitive, have more templates, use AI more, and just a bunch of different small things that are going to help us as creators have an easier time in making our projects. So today I'm going to try to go over the xTool Studios software really from start to finish. This will just be a basic tutorial. I'll try to go over everything that I know and understand, and if I don't quite understand it or if I haven't figured out how to use it yet, I'll let you guys know that and we can all play around with it together. So to start off, I typed in xTool Studios on Google and clicked on the first link. So this brings up to the xTool homepage. As you can see, smarter, easier DIY projects with AI, and I would want to download that. Then you just pick your processing system. I normally use Windows, and then go from there. Just follow the steps on the screen to make sure that you download it smoothly and easily, and it shouldn't take too long, maybe 10 minutes at the most. Then when you have it done, you can open the new xTool Studios. So when you open up xTool Studios, here's kind of what it looks like. It's very similar to the front page of xTool Creative Space because it shows some of the trending items, different things that you can make, different templates, and just different projects you can do here on the front screen. I would call this the home page. And this recently used tab is pretty nice when you have different projects that you've created and started working on. That way you can access them pretty quickly. But I haven't started anything yet. Most of this here on the left hand sidebar just kind of shows you what you've done in the past. I just made this triangle and just kind of playing around with it a little bit. You can find some templates, and we'll go over this here in a few more minutes when we go actually on a new project. But if you see something that you like, you can click on it and it will give you a template on your projects tab, and you can bookmark those templates as well. And then also here on the left sidebar is kind of a materials test guide, if you might remember it from xTool Creative Space, where if you know what material you're going to use, you can click on it and it will give you an estimated speed and power to use with that piece of material on certain machines. So like, let's say I want to use the S1 laser. I can see here the different speed and powers that are needed for the darkness that's given. So here, if I want something really dark, I'd want low speed and high power percentage. So normally you use around this range here, so it's not so dark that you're burning, but it's dark enough for you to be able to see. But we'll talk about that a little more here in a few minutes. So let's go back to the home screen and create a new project. You can either do that here or up here at the top with the new project. So when you open up a blank document on xTool Studios, it looks somewhat similar to xTool Creative Space. You have your left sidebar, your right bar that's minimized right now, and then we'll have our top bar here in just a minute. So I'll start off with this left sidebar. First off, if you want to see the settings, you can hit this X here. I really wouldn't use this a whole lot unless I was going to the settings to change things. And you can go on the settings, and that's where you can change from millimeters to inches. You can change your pressure, something that I don't ever really worry about. File settings, I don't worry about that. The developer mode, and then just software updates if needed. So that's there in case you ever need any of these items. It's really just kind of combining everything that you can do on xTool Creative Space into this main menu block. So there's other ways you can pretty much do all this. Then right under that is the save key. So anytime you're wanting to save your document, you can click that button. And below that is you can save to MySpace, which is kind of like the cloud for xTool Studios. So if you're logged in, it will save it to that cloud. That way anytime that you're logged in on even another computer, you can get to your documents from it. So now to get kind of into the bread and butter of the processing system. So we can click this little plus here and import images from our documents. Since it's football season, I inserted this image of a football. The first thing it's asking you to do is adjust the image. So you can change the sharpness, saturation, brightness, contrast, temperature, and tint. Really none of this is important to me right now because I've got just an outline of an image. But if you did have a picture or something like that that you have on there, all this could be important. But you'll notice when I change things, it maybe just makes it a little bit lighter or darker if it does anything. Like for instance, if I change the brightness, see how much brighter it is versus darkness. So it's not really something I'm worried about with this image, but you might see a need for it if you were using actual pictures. This auto adjust is a new feature that I haven't really played with any. It's supposed to adjust your image to make it better and easier to engrave. As you can see in this tutorial here, you just click the auto adjust and then let it know what type of material that you need, what type of laser you have, and it should adjust it to the need that you currently are using it for. So after you've adjusted your image how you would like it, then it has a lot of other image tools. You can crop the image, so that's maybe remove some of the outside of the image and make it smaller. That's not something I want to do. You can cut out the image using AI. And notice anytime that you use AI in these situations, it will cost credits. And I have 200 credits. If I wanted to AI cut out this, it would cost 6 of those 200 credits. The way you can get more credits is to buy the credits or to make videos and post them, and xTool will approve the videos and it'll give you more credits. So I try not to use them if I can help it, so I will just use the manual cutout. And this is called the Magic Wand tool. This was on xTool Creative Space as well. I can just click on all the white spaces, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I really just like to get the background out of there. So that should work. Hit confirm. So this white space that was behind it here is no longer here. That's really what I was worried about. AI Expand is pretty cool. It can change the aspect ratio of your image. So let's say you want to do a 1:2 ratio, so this might be good for a phone screen. You can change that, and notice how it changed the size of the image to fit that phone screen. So I could hit generate and it would leave it at that, but I just want to leave it like it normally is here to start with. The magic eraser is pretty cool. If there's a part of the image that you don't like, you can highlight it and the magic eraser tool should get rid of it. So let's say you've got a picture and there's a trash can in the background that you don't want. You can use this magic eraser, erase it, and get rid of it. There's tools like that also on some of the newer iPhones. You just highlight the piece of the image that you want removed and then it should erase it. Magic Edit. You can see here on the video, using AI, you can change what is in your image. This is pretty cool, something I have not used before. So you see they are highlighting this frisbee and changing it into a ball. So that's pretty neat. I feel like these are more image tools rather than engraving tools, but I could see where there might be a small use for them here or there. AI Enhance just enhances the image. And then Trace is a pretty important one. It will trace around the outside of the image once it loads. So you notice here the whole image has been traced out. If I hit save and move it, so you got two different images. This one would be engraved and then this one would be traced. So this would be pretty cool if you wanted to cut this image and just engrave this image and then stack them on top of each other, kind of make a 3D looking image. So that's a pretty neat feature. But that's also something that was on xTool Creative Space. One thing I'll note, that on xTool Creative Space, the back button is on the top left corner. Now they've moved it to the bottom right. So just an FYI there. You can make your screen bigger or smaller here. And you can also work on your task history. If you've got tasks in progress or show some of the tasks that you've made in the past. Okay, let's finish up with these image tools. You can filter the image into a grid, sketch, comic, black and white. Pretty self-explanatory there. You can restyle your image using AI. So if you wanted your image to look like a cartoon, you can change that using 6 credits of your 200 that you're originally given. And that's just a quick run through of some of the image format tools. There's a lot that you can do on xTool Studios to really enhance your image and make it perfect for your engraving. Next up is adding text. You come to the T, that's the text box, and just click somewhere on the image and you can type in whatever you'd like. You can change the X and the Y axis, so that's where this is located on the page. So really no big deal right now. You can change the width and the height of your image, so if you want it taller, maybe 4 inches tall, you can do that, and notice how the height also changes with that. The reason being is because this aspect ratio is locked. If I unlock it and change the width, the height stays the same. So I usually like to keep that aspect ratio locked. Next up is angle. You can just rotate your image, so if you want to rotate it 90 degrees, you're more than welcome to. You can change the layering on the page, so let's say you've got 2 or 3 different images on top of each other and you want one in front and one in the back, you can do that using this button here. Beside that, you can align your image anywhere on your screen. You can reflect your image, whether it be horizontally or vertically. You can change the font. And this is one thing pretty cool about xTool Studios. There's a lot of new fonts to choose from. xTool Creative Space didn't have very many fonts, so that's one pretty neat thing. I mean, there's got to be 1,000 fonts in here. So you can just pick the one that you like. There's so many different ones to choose from. And you can also upload your own font if you have a brand guideline or something where you need a specific font. So that's pretty cool. You can change the typeface, so if you need italics, bold, or bold italics. You can change the points, so how big or how small your text is. Again, you can line it up on the page, change the paragraph leading or the line spacing of that image. You can make the image uppercase or lowercase, or original case as it calls it. This weld function is pretty cool if you've got 2 different images that are on top of each other and one is overlapping the other and you kind of want to mix the 2 of them together. You can use this weld function to make it where there's no overlapping lines. It's all kind of one image. And then lastly here is the offset. The offset's pretty cool because it makes a line around the outside or the inside of your image. So like, let's say that I wanted to create the hay and then engrave the outside of the hay. So what I could do is I could engrave this and cut this, and again make it like a 3D image like I said before on the football. So it's just pretty neat to be able to have the outline there, just in case you need a couple different layers to put them all together. So that's pretty much all the text functions here on the top. Pretty self-explanatory, but you might just want to play around with it a little bit. Next up are basic shapes. You got your line, rectangle, circle, polygon, star, and vector. So you can just create your image. And what a vector is pretty much connect the dots. You create your own dots, and then you kind of connect them so you can make your own shape. I never use it very much, but it's there if you ever do. Next up, as we're going down the left sidebar, we'll notice the templates tool. This one's pretty cool, and this one's a new one here for xTool Studios. We kind of went over earlier on the xTool homepage, but there's a lot of different templates that other creators have made that you can use if you're wanting to. So let's say there's a certain theme that you're wanting, maybe USA. If you're wanting to find some specific USA themed items, maybe there's a template that way it can save you some time, that you can use what somebody else has already made, so it'll be quicker for you. So if I was going to use a coaster, I could click on this image. It shows me the actual xTool Creative Space file, what application is needed, what machine is needed, and then what material is needed. So it's pretty cool. you can scroll down a little bit more and find some more information on it. But it's always good to check things out. Oh, and this is actually a door hanger, not a coaster. But you can check things out before you decide to start creating your project. This might be a lot easier and save you quite a bit of time. So it's a pretty cool new feature. Next up are the elements. Same as xTool Creative Space, besides the fact that there's a lot more. We've got basic shapes, plants, animals, flowers, pure hand-drawn. There's different black and white mandalas here. That's something that's new. There's 3D images, music images, geometric lines, fish. So there's a lot of different ones to choose from. Halloween, just keep going on and on. So like I see this picture of a sea turtle. So I can click on it, make it bigger or smaller using the little grab bars here. And there could be my engraving. Next up, I'll quickly go through these applications. I'm not going to click on every one, I'll just kind of talk about them. A grid array makes a bunch of different images all side by side. This way, if you're making a bunch of different engravings at the same time, you can make this grid rather than having to copy and paste each one. So it shows here in this image 6 different engravings. That's kind of what it would look like. There would be 3 and 3 here. Circular array is kind of the same thing, except it does it circular. I've never used a circular array. I don't really know what the use of it would be, except maybe you've got a round piece of material and you want to create a border around it. So you could use a circular array for that. The material test array is pretty neat. You can click on it and it'll make a bunch of different images of the type of engraving that you want to make. And then it'll make it into a test array, meaning that it will make some of the engravings have low power and low speed, and some of them have high power and high speed, and everything in between. We kind of touched on that a little bit earlier when I was talking about the leather patch that needed a test array. This kind of does the same thing, so you can see what is the best speed and power percentage needed for your engraving. Code generation, you can just put in a website and it'll generate a QR code or a barcode. Smart nesting just kind of organizes all your images together, just like the picture shows. Measurement, you can measure between 2 images. Earring generator, this is something that's new and pretty neat. This is kind of like the templates tab that I showed you earlier. There's a lot of different earring designs that you can look at, put on your blank document and create. So again, it's just one way that it can save you time not having to create each earring image. So it's pretty neat. This is something that I would probably use quite a bit. And on top of that, there's keychain generator, box generator. So those are all kind of the same. There's different templates that you can choose from. Click the one that you want and it will pop up on your document. And then lastly is a map designer. And this pretty much just lets you type in an area in the world. It will make the map and then you can engrave it. But it uses some of those points that we've talked about to make. Next up is the AI feature. So you can pretty much create any image that you'd like using AI. It requires credits. One thing I would recommend here, make your image on some other third-party AI platform like ChatGPT or Deep AI or anything like that, and then just bring it to your xTool studios. That way you're not having to work on these credits and worry about those. Next up is this MySpace. This is kind of like the cloud for xTool. Not something that I've used very much, but you can look at some of the projects that you've had in the past and some of the assets that you've used in the past. So pretty handy if you use xTool all the time and you really know how to use it, but it's not something I'm really worried about right now. Normally I just upload my image and do it one at a time because it's all I honestly can keep up with. Here at the bottom you can use the select tool or the hand tool. The hand tool is kind of a grabber tool where you can grab the whole page, and then select obviously is how you can select your images. Next up you can add different canvases. So I had a situation where I was doing coasters and each coaster had a different image on it. So I had all the coasters created here on 4 different canvases, and then I would go back to back to back creating these coasters. So that was just one thing that saved me a little bit of time by using these different canvases. So I already had everything there, so I didn't have to reopen a new xTool document every single time. So that's just one of the ways that you can use the canvases. And you can also layer. So if I have multiple different images here, I could group them, I could lock them, I could hide images. So that's pretty nice when you're dealing with a lot of different pictures or images all together. That's just kind of an image format tool that you can use. Alright, now let's go over this right sidebar. It's changed a little bit, so let's go over it. First off, a lot of you guys, when you first open it, you may not see anything here, so you might just want to click this little caret key here and open it up. So it looks maybe a little bit familiar. First off, it shows an image of an engraver. You can click on that and pick your engraver. So I've got an xTool D1 Pro, so that's what I've clicked, but you can use any of these engravers here, just whichever one you've got. Or you can connect your engraver using an add device. So you can connect using USB, Wi-Fi, the IP address, or an Ethernet cable. Your mode is kind of the same as it was on xTool Creative Space. It shows whether you want to do it on a flat surface, a roller, slide extension, or on a screen if you're doing like t-shirts or things like that. And there's also a materials test guide, which is awesome. We kind of talked about it at the beginning of the video. So if you know what material you're going to use, so let's say that I'm using basswood, so I can apply what speed and power it thinks it should be recommended. Okay, next up, score, engrave, cut. This is very important. Score just kind of scores around the image. Engrave goes side to side, creating the dark image that you'll see here. And then cut, obviously you can cut around the outside of the image. Really the only difference between the score and the cut, scoring I would consider it more of like an outline, something thin. Cutting, you'll notice that the speed is a lot less because lower speed means it's slower and means it's going to burn into your piece of material slower and make it darker. You can change your pass after that. This kerf offset, I've never really used it before, but it looks like it just kind of helps with the accuracy of your engraving, to set an offset on your engraving. Maybe if anybody watching this video understands the kerf offset, they could leave it down in the comment section, because I'm honestly curious myself. And then next up is tab generation. This way, you can see in the picture here, you can stop a little bit of the engraving. So let's say that you want to keep it on your piece of material, so when you lift it up it doesn't cut all the way through. You can use this tool for that. Alright, now to the bottom right side of the xTool Studios page, we're going to use this preview button. This is something that was not on xTool Creative Space, so it's a really neat feature that xTool has added. It's showing you on your piece of material, so I picked basswood, what your engraving will look like. So I used 100% power, 20 millimeters per second, one pass. So you'll notice here how it's not cut all the way through. And that's honestly how it would be. I would need at least 6 or 7 millimeters per second to even cut through this piece of material. So this is a new feature. It kind of shows how it looks. I think it's pretty cool. It even shows here that it may not cut through. Then under that is framing, or you can change the speed of your framing to make it quite a bit slower so you can actually see what it does. That's one complaint I used to have with xTool, is you couldn't change the speed of the framing, so every time it would frame so fast you didn't even know what you were looking at. So I like that you can make the speed a lot slower and actually meticulously look at your engraving on your piece of material before you start the engraving. Then we can process. So this looks very similar to xTool Creative Space. You can change where the laser start is on your screen. You can change the origin point from the top left to the middle to the bottom right, you know, whatever you would like to do there. But some things that are a little different. This path preview is pretty cool. So if you hit the play button here, it'll show you how it will engrave your image. This is something that was not on xTool Creative Space as far as I know. And I think it's really cool because it'll actually show you from start to finish how your engraving will actually be put on your piece of material. So So you can kind of see the science behind it. So that's something that's pretty cool. And also some new stuff. It shows the estimated time it'll take to finish this engraving. It showed that before, but they've moved it. It used to be down here, now it's up here at the top. It also shows some precautions, which are pretty cool. It shows that with the 20 millimeters per second that there's risk of not cutting all the way through. I like that because it will tell you that before you start your engravings, so you can make adjustments before you even hit the start button. It also gives you a safety reminder to just always be there with it and not cause a fire. Another safety reminder. So then you can start your engraving and hit the start button, and you should be ready to go. Anytime you want to go back, you can just hit the back button here and you're back to your home screen. Last thing we'll talk about is this very top bar here, where if you want to add a new page, you can add an untitled page just like that, very similar to if you were on Google and creating a new page. You can also use this little caret key here to go to the settings, check for updates, or end your xTool document, so hit quit. And then lastly, if you ever need any help, there's a live chat with xTool Creative Space experts. So if you ever have any questions, feel free to ask them, because they're probably a lot smarter than I am. So I hope you enjoyed this low-level video. I tried to go over each one of the buttons that are on xTool Studios. It's kind of hard because there's so many different ones, and there's just so many different project applications that you can use every one of them in, that it's hard to go over each one. So I did the best that I could, and hopefully you guys were able to understand and grasp some of the changes that the xTool did between xTool Creative Space and xTool Studios. I feel like they're really trying to make it easier with the templates pages and all the AI that they're trying to do. The bad thing about the AI is there's credits required, and I know people don't want to have to spend any more money than they're already having to spend. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would, please like and subscribe to my channel. One thing I've noticed is about 95% of the viewers that I have are not subscribed to my channel. So please subscribe. That's able to help me continue to make these great videos and talk about xTool, laser engraving, and other crafts just in general. So I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, just leave them down in the comments and I'll try to get to them as quickly as possible. And I know I asked some questions throughout the videos, so please try to respond to those too if you happen to know, because I know if I don't know, other people probably don't know either. So just respond to those if you know them. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. So happy engraving.